I was born Charles Panzram on June 28, 1891, in a ramshackle farmhouse near East Grand Forks, Minnesota, a desolate stretch of land along the Red River Valley. My parents, Johann John and Matilda Lizzie Panzram, were East Prussian immigrants chasing the American dream, but all they found was dirt and struggle. I was the sixth of 7 kids, 5 boys and a girl before me, with another sibling trailing behind. Life on that farm was no fairy tale. We worked from the moment we could walk, hauling water, tending crops, and feeding livestock. There was no time for play, no room for softness. My folks were hard people, hardened by poverty. They ruled with a heavy hand. Chains, belts, and starvation were their tools of discipline. I remember being tied to a barn post and whipped until I bled, all for some minor mischief. By 5, I was already a liar and a thief, sneaking food or coins when no one was looking. My brothers, though, they turned out decent, honest farmers. Me? I was different. Something in me was already sour. Around 1898, when I was 7, things got worse. My father up and left, abandoning us to a failing farm and a mother too broken to cope. We scraped by, barely eating some days. That same year, a mastoid infection nearly killed me. The surgery left me with headaches that never quite went away, and some say it scrambled my brain, though I don't lean on that as an excuse. In 1905, one of my older brothers drowned while working as a lumberjack. Another blow to a family already falling apart. 4 of my 5 brothers eventually left, leaving me to face the chaos alone with Ma. School was a joke. I hated it. Skipped it, wandered the fields instead. At 8, I got my first taste of the law, arrested for being drunk and disorderly after stealing whiskey from a neighbor. Booze became my fuel, making me meaner, bolder. By the time I was 12 in 1903, I was in deeper trouble. I broke into a neighbor's house, stole cake, apples, and a revolver. The judge called me incorrigible and shipped me off to the Minnesota State Training School in Red Wing. Red Wing was where the world really started to twist me. That reform school was a house of horrors. Guards and older boys preyed on us, and the staff enforced order with beatings and worse. In the paint shop, they'd strip us naked, bend us over a barrel, and paddle us until we bled. I was raped there more times than I care to count, by men who were supposed to fix me. It didn't fix anything, it just filled me with hate. I learned fast how to survive, how to fight back. In July 1905, I got my revenge by setting fire to the school's workshop, watching the flames eat up thousands of dollars worth of property. I didn't get caught. Some whispers say I killed a boy there, 2, a 12-year-old, but I never confirmed it. They paroled me in January 1906 after I played the good boy act, helped along by some cash I stole from Ma's purse to bribe an official. Back home, I didn't last long. At 14, I tried to shoot a Lutheran preacher who scolded me, then hopped a freight train out of Minnesota, becoming a hobo. Life on the rails was freedom, but it came with its own kind of hell. Near the Montana border, 4 hobos gang-raped me in a boxcar. That violation burned deeper into me, turning my anger into something darker. I stole to survive, food, clothes, anything I could carry. My size helped. I was over 6 feet, built like an ox from farm work. By my mid-teens, I was robbing homes, stores, even churches. Often drunk, always reckless. My rap sheet grew. Burglaries, larcenies, arsons. I didn't care who I hurt as long as I got what I wanted. In 1907, desperate and drunk, I enlisted in the U.S. Army in Helena, Montana. I thought it might give me a purpose, but I was wrong. Assigned to the 6th Infantry at Fort William Henry Harrison, I clashed with everyone. In April 1908, I was court-martialed for stealing $88.24 worth of supplies, clothes, food, whatever I could grab. The sentence came down hard. 3 years of hard labor at the United States, disciplinary barracks in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. The order was signed by none other than William Howard Taft, then Secretary of War, later President. I swore I'd make him pay for that one day. Leavenworth was worse than Red Wing. Chain gangs, beatings, solitary confinement. It broke something in me. Or maybe it just finished what Red Wing started. They chained me to iron balls, made me break rocks in the blistering sun. Guards beat me senseless. I fought back, earning more time. That place finished me, I wrote later. Any shred of goodness in me was smashed out when I walked out in August 1910 with a dishonorable discharge. I wasn't just a criminal. I was a man with a mission to burn the world down. The next decade was a blur of crime and rage. I drifted across the West, using aliases like Jefferson Davis, Jeff Rhodes, or John O'Leary to stay one step ahead of the law. I hit towns like Fresno, California, Rusk, Texas, The Dalles, Oregon, Harrison, Idaho, Butte, Montana. Burglaries mostly, but I wasn't picky. Robberies, arsons, anything to keep moving. I did time in Montana State Prison, Oregon State Penitentiary, Sing Sing, and Clinton in New York. Every stint made me harder, meaner. In 1915, as Jeff Baldwin, I burgled a house in Astoria, Oregon, and got caught. That earned me 7 years in Oregon State Penitentiary. I didn't take kindly to cages. I led a riot, attacked guards, even sawed through bars to escape in 1918. They dragged me back, locked me up tighter. That's when I started raping the men I robbed, picking the biggest, toughest ones to prove I could break them. It wasn't about desire. It was about power. I worked as a strikebreaker sometimes, cracking skulls during labor disputes, loving the chaos. By 1919, my hatred wasn't just for individuals, it was for everyone. I burned churches, barns, anything that stood for order. I dreamed up bigger plans, poisoning a city's water, sinking a warship to start a war. After one prison release, I stole a yacht from an Oregon marina, named it the Akista, and sailed to the Pacific Northwest. I'd pick up sailors, get them drunk, rape them, shoot them, and dump their bodies in the ocean. I claimed plenty of victims that way, including a young boy in Salem, Massachusetts, in 1922. The law never pinned those on me, but they weighed on my tally. In 1920, I headed east looking for new hunting grounds. In August, I broke into the home of William Howard Taft in New Haven, Connecticut. My old friend from Leavenworth days, now a big shot. I stole jewels, bonds, and guns, a middle finger to the man who'd signed my sentence. I sold the loot for $3,000, bought another yacht, and set up shop in New York. Same game, lure sailors aboard, drug them, rape them, kill them, and toss them into Long Island Sound with stones tied to their bodies. I counted 10 that way before a storm sank my boat. With the heat closing in, I stowed away on ships to Europe and Africa. In Scotland, I pulled burglaries. In South America, more robberies. By 1922, I was in Portuguese Angola, working for Sinclair Oil. There, I raped and killed a young boy, then hired 6 locals for a crocodile hunt. I shot them all, fed their bodies to the crocs, and took their canoe. I killed those 6 for their canoe, I wrote, no remorse. I killed more in Africa, miners mostly, raped and murdered for their goods. From Angola, I went to Lisbon, Portugal, where I killed a British sailor for his cash, then to the Congo, and back to the US by 1923. Landing in New York, I picked up where I left off, burglaries up and down the East Coast. I killed a boy in Philadelphia, another in New Haven. In July 1923, near Salem, Massachusetts, I lured 12-year-old George Henry McMahon into the woods. I raped him and beat him to death with a rock. That one stuck with the cops, one of the few they could tie to me. My run ended in 1923 when I got nabbed for burglary in Larchmont, New York, under the name John O'Leary. I did my time, got out in 1928, and went right back to breaking into houses in Washington, D.C. They caught me again in August 1928, locked me up in the D.C. District Jail. That's where I met Henry Lesser, a guard who was different. He gave me paper, told me to write my story. Over months, I poured it all out, 20,000 words of truth, no sugarcoating. I have killed 21 human beings, I wrote. I have committed thousands of burglaries, robberies, larcenies, arsons, and last but not least, I have committed sodomy on more than 1,000 male human beings. I laid it all bare, every ugly detail. My confessions led to charges for the McMahon murder, but Massachusetts wouldn't extradite. Instead, they sent me to Leavenworth again, 25 years for burglary. I told the warden when I arrived in 1929, I'll kill the first man that bothers me. I meant it. On June 20th, 1929, I got into it with Robert Warnke, the laundry foreman. I grabbed an iron bar and beat him to death. No hesitation, no regrets. The trial for Warnke's murder was quick. I refused a lawyer, pleaded guilty, and demanded the rope. The only thanks you or your kind will ever get from me is that I wish you all had. One neck and I had my hands on it, I told the court. Carl Menninger, some big-shot psychologist, said I was sane. Good enough for me. They sentenced me to hang. The do-gooders from the American League to abolish capital punishment tried to save me, but I wasn't having it. I prefer to die, I wrote. The world will be better off without me. On September 5th, 1930, they marched me to the gallows at Leavenworth. I was 39 and I didn't give a damn. When they asked for my last words, I spat at the executioner. Hurry it up, you Hoosier bastard! I could hang a dozen men while you're screwing around. They dropped the trap at 6:03 a.m., and that was it. They buried me in the prison cemetery, my grave marked only with 816. My story didn't die with me. Henry Lesser kept my writings, and in 1970, they were published as Killer, a Journal of Murder. It's raw, unfiltered, a window into my head. They made a movie about me in 2011, Carl Panzram, The Spirit of Hatred and Vengeance, and books like Panzram, Butchering Humanity. People still argue about what made me, abuse, prisons, or just a bad seed. I blamed the system. The prisons made me what I am. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I killed at least 5 that they know of. Probably over 100 if you count the ones I claimed. Either way, I lived by hate and died by it, and I wouldn't have it any other way.